been a day of hectic diplomacy where one can't help saying, viewers, that India seems to be, at some level or the other, being feted internationally. Now, doomsdayers will tell you how bleak India's all-round prospects are. They'll tell you that once again India has lost the opportunity to lead the world morally, economically, and socially, to shape the conversation and the narrative because of the troubles within, because of the mismanagement that we have seen. This is what a large number of doomsdayers will tell you. But sometimes all it takes, viewers, is a series of pictures to put things in the right perspective. Indeed, with world leaders lining up, and I just want to show you some of those pictures, lining up to meet and greet India's Prime Minister during the G20 summit in Indonesia's capital, Bali. Indonesia's not capital so much as Indonesia's resort holiday city of Bali. Its cultural capital, if you may. It's difficult not to believe that India is seen as a shining beacon of hope on the global stage. Now, viewers, as is to be expected, these pictures have sparked a massive debate. The BJP leapt to very quickly capitalize on them, saying that world leaders never sought out, for example, Dr. Manmohan Singh when he was the Prime Minister of the country. And in his address, for example, the BJP points out that the Prime Minister also asserted that India of today thinks very big and is therefore working towards an horizon. They say that big world leaders of some of the most advanced countries have all come out and have all, in fact, praised Mr. Modi's leadership and his reformation, really, of India's image on the global scene. Now, viewers, of course, the Congress and other opposition parties have taken a swipe at the BJP for politicizing diplomacy, saying that former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh himself, for example, was feted on the global stage. So you have a big conversation going on. Listen to what the opposition leaders have been saying to the BJP's projection of these visuals, these pictures, and all the adulation that the Prime Minister received.
Well, every statement that comes from the BJP's media head is not to be taken seriously at all. As far as the Prime Minister is concerned, well, he's the Prime Minister of India. You've taken, you're heading the G20 at the moment. Respect given to the Prime Minister is respect given to India.
I don't know who is Amit Malavia, but I know Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who was once the chief of BJP. He was president of BJP. And you can just remember what Nitin Gadkari said, that the country should be grateful for the reforms done by Manmohan Singh for what he has done. I think it is Amit Malavia's this statement is rubbish.
People who believe in God, they touch the feet of the God, and Modi is God now. He is not the devil as to the Indian people, but he is God to many people, maybe because of God they are touching his feet.
हर सरकारों में G20 का सवाल हो, शिखर सम्मेलन का सवाल हो, देश के प्रधानमंत्री अन्य देशों के प्रधानमंत्री से बातचीत करते रहते हैं। किसके पहले देश के प्रधानमंत्री अन्य प्रधानमंत्री से नहीं मिले हैं क्या? मनमोहन सिंह से तो कई बार कई राष्ट्रों के प्रधानमंत्री राष्ट्राध्यक्षों से लगातार कान में बात करते हुए लोगों ने देखा है।
देखिए, ये चाटुकारिता की पराकाष्ठा है। दरअसल हिंदुस्तान ने जो पिछले 7 दशकों में एक वैश्विक आर्थिक शक्ति की वजह से जो प्रतिष्ठा हासिल की है, आज भारत को उसका सम्मान मिल रहा है।
Let's open this up. We have with us Maharoof Raza, Group Consulting Editor of the Times Network. As I've always described him, as one of the finest strategist analysts, geopolitical commentators around. There is also, of course, the BJP's Guru Prakash, national spokesperson, the BJP. Aarti Tikku, who's a senior journalist who's actually there in Bali. She's got a ringside view of what's been happening. Sanjay Jha, the Congress, is here with us. Mr. Guru Prakash, the opposition says that this is really the height of sycophancy. There is a cult that is sort of being built around the Prime Minister. And how do you respond to this? That this Modi diplomacy in Bali is not because of him so much as the collective energy of India that has put India up there.
Rahul, there is no denial that there is collective energy of India. But who is representing that collective energy of India? The people of India. And the people of India is being represented at this international forum by the Honorable Prime Minister. What I fail to understand is this poverty of imagination of the Congress party, this impoverishment of any ideas. Because in the last 8 years, you see, India in the global setting is now setting the example in terms of new world order. You take the example of International Yoga Day. More than 150 nations becoming second proposer of Yoga Day. And it's such a record time it was accepted globally. Was it also psychophancy? Brazilian head of state, the American president, Chinese head of state, the Australian head of state, everyone have sort of welcomed the remarkable initiative which India shown during the COVID crisis. Be it we have supplied vaccines to more than 100 nations, the masks, the sanitizers, and everywhere you see at the global stage we are setting a new phenomena. Even during the Russia-Ukraine crisis, we saw the evacuation at so many countries, at so many crisis stages had happened at such a smooth pace. So we have to acknowledge at least the true leadership skill of the Honorable Prime Minister. He has said that India now in the 21st century is going to play a decisive role in the new world order, which is going to be a rule-based order.
Okay, Sanjay, very quickly, a quick response to Mr. Guru Prakash. He's saying that, look, the Prime Minister has shaped the outlook of this nation. Yes, he has obviously benefited from the collective energy, and who can deny it? But the fact is that the ingredients to unleash the engines of growth, etc., have been provided. The direction has been provided by this government. Why are you grudging him his moment?
Rahul, let me tell you, this is a very churlish and very infantile conversation. I mean, the BJP should know government's foreign policy, diplomacy is made to successive government. And every prime minister, including Mr. Vajpayee, and I have been critical of Mr. Vajpayee, they all had a very crucial role to play in terms of India's standing in the international, arena. The truth is, I mean, you remember what Mr. Barack Obama, the US president, said about Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. He said when he spoke, we all just listened to him. George Bush, as a US president, pushed the boundaries to get India into the whole nuclear deal. So, I don't want to get into this very petty conversation with the BJP.
The Congress party took credit for the encomiums that were heaped on then Dr. Manmohan Singh, but you didn't, of course, support him when he wanted to go through with the nuclear deal. I mean, let's not forget that.
Let me just tell you. Rahul, let me just make one short point, and then I would love to hear Aarti and Artu. That the truth is, if you look at any democracy, when there is an election time, I can understand a contest. But even the Republicans and the Democrats, highly polarized in the US, they're not rubbishing Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton or what have you.
No, but
the Conservatives and Labour fight.
No, hang on.
They're not destroying each other's legacy.
No, but neither is there the lack of informed criticism about people and their contribution. So we can't put everyone on a pedestal and never question, because if you never examine someone's record, if you don't learn from their mistakes, we're bound to repeat them. And you know that how critical it is to assess, sometimes in the right context and sometimes in changed contexts, with the benefit of new research.
Well, Mr. Prakash should know where we stand today in what the world opinion is in terms of India's authoritarian culture and the way we are destroying our democratic.
If it was so authoritarian, why is the world... let me bring in Aarti Tikku, she was there. Aarti Tikku, did you get a sense that Modi's India had become a pariah on the international stage, a pariah country that everyone was sort of looking at with some amount of derision?
Rahul, it's quite unfortunate that on critical issues, especially diplomacy, there is politics happening in India at the moment. I wish that the opposition and the ruling party kept diplomacy, kept geopolitics out of their local, provincial politics. What I got at the G20 summit in Bali today was that India not only commands a lot of respect, but Prime Minister Modi commands a lot of respect. And I'm saying this as a very neutral, objective journalist who has been critical of the BJP, who has been critical of the Congress also. And I can tell you that the way the pictures that emerged from the G20 summit, whether it was Rishi Sunak, whether it was Xi Jinping, in fact, we have an update that Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping exchanged pleasantries on the sidelines of the dinner tonight. And that itself, shows that everybody, the toughest and the strongest and the most powerful leader, for example, like Xi Jinping, Joe Biden, and Emmanuel Macron, they all want to share dice with Prime Minister Modi. They all want to be friends with Prime Minister Modi. And also, I think what is really, what is at the back of this respect and the cooperation that they are seeking from Prime Minister Modi are the accomplishments of the government of India in the last 1 decade. In fact, I got a glimpse of what Prime Minister Modi may have said at the G20 summit at the community center, which was an event organized by the Indian diaspora in Bali, where Prime Minister Modi actually talked about the speed and the scale at which India has transformed in the last 1 decade.
Let's get in Maruf Raza on this point. Why is India being seen as a ray of hope globally today, as we speak, coming out of a pandemic that actually froze and paralyzed, the entire globe?
Rahul, all your guests have made very important points, and I'm not in the business of trying to build up one leader against the other. You see, we must look at it all very objectively. India wouldn't have reached so far if all our leaders in the past hadn't made contributions substantially. India didn't begin galloping in 2014. India has been coming steadily along. So we are now at that stage in history when the world is looking at India to provide several options. For instance, India seems to be the bridge between the north, the global north, the rich countries, and we are now in the top 5 wealthy countries in a way, if you look at it statistically. So the rich countries look at India as a bridge to the global south. And there, Mr. Modi comes in as a ray of hope, because now the world is staring at a possible recession. And they need to take steps. The G20 is about economics. The G20 is not about preventing war per se. The second thing I think Mr. Modi has done very well, which other leaders, I believe in recent past, weren't able to exploit to the extent. India provides every leader a certain demographic dividend. And Mr. Modi has been able to use that. For example, wherever he goes, as a show of strength, he addresses the Indian diaspora. Now, when you do that, it's strong messaging to all the leaders. I remember somebody who was familiar with American politics told me that Mr. Trump couldn't muster up 5,000 to 10,000 people for any of his big election rallies. And look what Mr. Trump got in Ahmedabad when he landed up. So the fact is, India and Indians can provide numbers, and it's a shot in the arm and messaging to your host country that, India is there and nobody is there quite like India. The third thing, I think, which Mr. Modi has done very well, is built up chemistry with all world leaders. So you see Mr. Biden holding on to his hand and tapping his back. You see Macron wanting to engage with him. Fine, nothing is going to come out of the Xi Jinping meeting because Xi Jinping's got his own issues, we've got our own issues. But then everyone is being able to talk to us. I mean, there is this talk about, can India be one of the possible mediators in the Ukraine conflict, not the mediator, because we have an allergic reaction to mediation because of history. So, there are issues like that. Yeah. And then, you have to grant him and his government that they do come out with out-of-the-box initiatives. For example, this is the year that we are going to be heading 2 important global organizations. Heads of state come to them. Xi Jinping will come to both. You know, Putin will come to both. He hasn't come to this, but Russia is represented there. But SCO and G20. And these matter. And this year, if we can exploit that opportunity, it is India's year for the asking.
Well, there we go.
There are things that are going our way.
We are running out of time. Leadership matters. The quality of leadership matters. Viewers, we are at an inflection point, as Maruf Raza says, and the choices we make, the choices our leaders make, will of course define where we'll end up, whether we will actually have that tryst with destiny. And as of today, the world seems to have faith in the incumbent Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Well, viewers, I leave it to you now to think this through. The news are coming up. Don't go away.